I'm Lana Nasser, performing artist from Jordan. And Christophe and I shared a similar vision somehow working on this project and before, and that's how we decided to proceed. So we both have a passion for the environment and for mythology and for stories and collecting the stories of people and telling stories. The character that I'm playing, which also represents me and Christophe somehow together, is finding these stories myself and making my own mythology. It's almost like a fabrication of that, like a journey, looking for answers and in many ways finding those answers in nature itself and also inside, because I think one reflects the other one. They're both a reflection of one another.
I am Christophe Persijn. I am a Belgian theatre maker. I live in Amsterdam, but I have been for the last 5 months here in Amman in Jordan. Origin of this project, which we present tonight in Balad Theatre, actually started in Egypt. I'm very fascinated by rivers, actually. So I did a project about the Nile River, for which I collected among the shores in villages through Egypt stories about the Nile, especially like the supernatural stories. So I wanted to do something similar with the Jordan River, from the Old Testament to river to a New Testament. But I faced, of course, a kind of a harsh reality, is that it's pretty difficult to travel among that river, and even worse, actually, this river is actually in pretty grand decay. So from there I started to focus more on the Dead Sea and to collect such stories like supernatural stories at local people.
It's about a person who goes through a journey to find out what the Dead Sea would say, trying all kinds of things to give the Dead Sea voice, embodying the Dead Sea, dreaming the Dead Sea, talking to people, talking to trees in the area, in the Jordan River Valley, imagining stories, looking into the Bible and the Quran and the Torah for these stories and deciding that they're really not enough, and then the people don't have enough stories and finding that those are not enough, and trying to listen to the Dead Sea, to what it would say. I think one of the most interesting things about this project somehow is that we did it guerrilla style. We had very little resources. In a way, we had very few or hardly any stories to start with. But all these things also produced a lot of creativity. So whether it was creating the stories ourselves and like channeling these stories, or working with very simple lighting but trying to be as creative as possible, or even with the 2 projectors and so on. And artistically and personally, that's been a very good learning experience.
Hand falls off.
With Lana Nasser we decided to kind of write our own stories about the Dead Sea, so to create some kind of new mythology about the Dead Sea. In my research, I tried to discover lots of stories, but of course I also wanted to make a performance in which would be some kind of an artistic campaign. I wanted this theater performance to affect the audience in a way that it affected me working on the Dead Sea. It deepened my consciousness about our environment, and it's very satisfying to do something for the environment in a way that you bring it under attention. So I hope that this performance is deepening also a little bit the consciousness of the audience, not only about the Dead Sea, but as we represent in the performance, the Dead Sea is the deepest point of Earth. It's, in our metaphor, it's like to say the warmth of Mother Earth. So if the warmth of our Mother Earth is drying out, it's very significant for our whole planet.
Working with Christophe on this project has been a very exciting process because it felt like a personal growth process as well as an artistic growth process, where we gave voice to things that do not speak or things that people do not hear most often. And it feels like a step forward from the other work that I've done on my own, with working very personally with Arab, Muslim women, dealing with politics, gender, religion, and so on. And this with Earth itself, very global, and is very universal. And it's a very universal topic that I think is very important, not just for people here in the Middle East, but for the whole world, because it represents a larger issue.
I think it's very important to animate natural phenomena like trees, like rivers, like stones. The fact that you animate them makes you also give them a relation to them. You bring soul in them and you recognize that there is a soul in them. With Lana Nasser we decided to kind of write our own stories about the Dead Sea, so to create some kind of new mythology about the Dead Sea.
The Dead Sea is very charged emotionally. Everything plays part. It's not just environment, it's politics. It's the lowest point, so I think of that too as the unconscious and the place of dreams. It's also called Dead Sea, so it invokes all these things about death and no life living there in that area. Take. I've been very fortunate that I feel like I've been embraced by the country. Perhaps it's because of the places that I perform, like Balad Theatre, which is more avant-garde, on the edge, where I feel that the audience is very accepting of what I present. Don't take me.
But all these things are very much, if you read about them, they all remain very factual, you know, they remain very much in your head, and actually my emotions doesn't know what to do with it, and I think that's what is very satisfying on me with working with Lana, is that Lana is actually kind of embodying an emotional approach to all these facts. Okay, the Dead Sea is dying. But what does that mean for us? What does that mean for our next generation? What does that mean for us emotional? What does it mean that this country has water scarce? What does it mean for a woman who is pregnant and she's give birth in a country which faces the situations on our planet? That's what I'm very happy about, that we could find a way in this performance to translate all these things into an emotional way.
I thought it was very impressive, depressing, but she took it to she put her finger on where it really hurts to a lot of people who live in this country, especially environmentalists like myself. And I think this show or this play should be much widely seen by Jordanians and the areas around us to see what we're really getting at. She was very, very sharp, she was very direct, she had no shame telling us all what we're doing to Mother Nature and to our beloved Dead Sea. So lovely work, great work.
I really liked the idea of how did they incorporated the educational part in a performance type in a performance style. It was a bit exotic, and the message was conveyed in a very let's say entertaining / emotional way. That's it.